Hi everyone, Rene Bastarache here. You know, I've said many times that anyone who has a desire and can understand the language can be hypnotized. It's funny because even knowing this, I hear so many hypnotherapists say that a specific client couldn't be hypnotized in their office. It's not that the client couldn't be hypnotized, it's that they weren't tested first to find out how to hypnotize them. It's important to understand that everyone's mind works differently. So if everyone's mind works differently, you can't hypnotize everyone the same way. It's important that you test them first to find out exactly how their mind works. Then you can gauge the session to them specifically. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So how do you test somebody to find out how their mind works? Well, you use what we call suggestibility test. And in this video, I'm going to be doing one with you. Yes, you're going to actively be participating that I've done before. But in the past, we've just done the test and moved on. This time, I'm going to explain to you why we do the test, how it works, and what the results are so you can see how your mind works. Not only is this a great tool for hypnotists to use so they could tailor the session to the client, this will also help you to understand a lot about you, your spouse, and your family. You're going to learn things about them that you hadn't realized before, but it's going to help you to understand why they're the way that they are. So let's go ahead and get started. The first test is called the finger test. Now, I call it a test, but it's actually, I guess, an exercise. There's no pass or fail, so whatever happens, if you feel it, if you don't feel it, it doesn't matter, because whatever the result is, we're going to gauge it later. So don't worry about it in advance. Just follow my instructions and let your mind go. What I want you to do is take your hands and put them together like this, interlace your fingers, and make a little goal post. Your fingers should be probably about an inch, inch and a half apart. Loosen your hands so they're not real tight. Now I want you to look between that space, between the space right here where your fingers are. And don't look at me because I don't want you to be distracted. So if you want, you could do it to the side like this here. Look through that space and just let everything else go and use your imagination. I'd like you to imagine right now that I'm taking a rubber band and placing it right around your fingertips. And you can feel that rubber band pulling your fingers closer and closer together. It's a very strong rubber band, and it's pulling your fingers closer and closer together until they eventually touch. And as soon as they touch, you can put your hands down. Now imagine I'm taking a second rubber band, a really thick one like you see in an office around envelopes, and I'm taking it and just putting it around your fingers and letting go, and it's getting really tight. Now you've got two strong rubber bands, pulling them together, coming closer and closer until they eventually touch. And as soon as they touch, like I said, just go ahead and put your hands down and relax. Now, how did that work for you? Some of you, as you were doing it, your fingers probably went right together and touched. Others, your fingers might have gone together like this and almost touched. Some of you, your fingers went a little bit, and some of you stayed just like this. And you know, yes, there's a couple that even went the opposite way. Those are the people that are a little more resistant than most, and they were trying to fight it. But for those of you that followed my instructions and didn't resist, let me go ahead and show you what the results were. Okay, first of all, here's a chart, and on this chart, it's called the Suggestibility Scale. As you can see, it goes from 1 to 5. Number 2 is analytical. Number 4 is non-analytical. The more non-analytical you are, the more to the right. And I'll explain what those mean in a minute. The more analytical, the more to the left. And the middle is kind of like a neutral. We'll call it a 50-50. So if your fingers went right together fairly quickly, you're at a number 5. You're what they call very non-analytical. If your fingers went together and eventually touched, you're at a number 4. Okay? If your fingers started to go together and kind of almost touched but didn't quite make it, you'd be right around a number 3. If your fingers moved just a little bit, you're at a number 2. You're what they call analytical. If your fingers didn't move at all, you're very analytical, okay? So don't worry if your fingers didn't move. It's not that the test didn't work. The test did work. It just showed that you're very analytical. Now, what does this mean? Okay, non-analytical people are people who are able to relax very easily. These are mostly your right brain thinkers, okay? We have the majority of students, children, teenagers, your enlisted people in the military. The reason why I say enlisted people, because most of the leaders in the offices and the higher non-commissioned officers would be on the other end, the analytical. These are your mill workers, people that work in factories. Now, analytical people are the people that like to keep their mind busy. They don't like to relax. These are your doctors, your lawyers. Now, this is just as an average. So, there are non-analytical doctors and lawyers, but for the most part, the majority of doctors and lawyers are analytical, accountants, like I said, leaders in the industry, and lots of your higher executives. Now, it's important to know where you are on the scale and how your mind works, because this is going to help us to be able to hypnotize you. But let me tell you a little bit about analytical and non-analytical, which will probably help you to understand yourself and your spouse. If your fingers went right together, okay, you're the kind of person that when you're done work, let's say at 5 o'clock, you come home, and you like to relax. You might want to have a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, whatever you like to drink. Sit down, listen to some music, maybe sit and talk to the kids for a while, but you enjoy relaxing. You could have a good time just going out on the town. If you're analytical, you're the kind of person that you come home, and as soon as you get home, you start doing other jobs. You might go into your office and do paperwork. You might go out into the garage and get to work. You're focused on getting things done. But that's what you enjoy to do. For an analytical person to come home and just have a cup of coffee and chat and watch TV would be kind of grueling. The whole time he or she would be thinking, boy, I want to get back to work. Okay, so that's the difference. Another example is if you went to a party, okay, a party at a friend's house. A non-analytical person would be out there having a good time, being a socialite, probably even be the joker or the focus of the party, okay? You'd be the one, the more relaxed you are, the more fun you start having. The analytical person would be the one that would probably go to the kitchen, hey, you need me to help you with this? He'd set up the tables, he'd help you to take things down. They want to keep busy, even at a party where you're supposed to relax. And one last example, one of my favorites, is you had a day off, and let's say you're non-analytical and your husband's analytical. You say, hey, let's go to the beach for the day off. A non-analytical person is able to just lie on the beach and relax under the sun and just soak up the rays and have a great time doing it. For an analytical person, especially a very analytical person, that would be grueling, okay? They wouldn't mind going to the beach, but they're going to want to bring, their laptop, computer, maybe some books, some paperwork. They need to keep their mind busy. Just relaxing and doing nothing would be so boring, it would drive them bonkers, okay? So you can get an idea of the difference between analytical and non-analytical. So look at how you tested and see how close that is to your personality or to your spouse's personality. Okay, try it with your spouse. You could either do it with them or have them look at this video and go through the test with me to see how accurate their results are to being analytical and non-analytical. All right, so how does that help where it comes to hypnosis? Basically, someone who's non-analytical or very non-analytical, all you need to do is relax them. So you would do the relaxation technique hypnosis, which is the one that pretty much the majority of schools teach. Unfortunately, that's about the only one they do because they figure the majority of people are non-analytical, probably 80% of society. So they figure, hey, it'll work with most people. I've had so many times where somebody comes up to me, a client, and they'll say, oh, I was hypnotized by this psychiatrist, a psychologist, whoever, and they tried to relax me and it just didn't work. And when I tested them, they were analytical. And that's usually what happens. An analytical person does not usually react well to a non-analytical session. So non-analytical, just relax them. Do the deepeners and all those nice, taking them to La La Land. They'll love it. An analytical person, you need to keep their mind busy. Kind of like doing your taxes and having a conversation at the same time. You need to let go of one to do the other. So by keeping your mind busy, if you're doing your taxes and I'm having a conversation with you and you're focusing on your taxes, since the analytical mind is so focused and driven that pretty much everything I say is going right past your conscious mind into the subconscious without resistance. And that's the easiest way to hypnotize them. Now, don't bring them taxes in a session. Nobody wants to do that, okay? So we actually have analytical sessions which will keep their mind busy. Just so you know, analytical mind is about 20% of society. Non-analytical people is about 80%. However, the analytical approach, keeping your mind busy, works on everyone because anyone can have their mind kept busy, can be distracted. The non-analytical approach, even though 80% of the public is non-analytical, only works on probably 40 to 60% of society. Why is that? Why would relaxing people only work for so many? Well, even though you're non-analytical, when you come to my office, you might be stressed. You might be having a bad day, maybe a lot of appointments, and you came to my office during the middle of your appointments and you're like, come on, hurry up, I got a lot to do. How are you going to relax? So keep these things in mind. Maybe they just left the house and let's say the sink broke and water's leaking and their spouse is fixing the sink, or they got a flat tire, or they just got pulled over by the police on the way over for speeding. Okay, it's hard for them to relax when they have all this going on in their mind. They might be angry or frustrated or nervous. Now you'll find out a lot of this in the preliminary, but keep in mind, even though they tested non-analytical maybe last week, this week they're probably still non-analytical, okay? But because of how their day was going, they might not be able to relax. So if you have to, you can do an analytical session. Now you see in the middle where I have 50-50, those are the ones that kind of went and maybe didn't quite touch. If you think someone's not going to be able to relax, just do the analytical session. It's pretty much that simple because it's going to work on them. So why wouldn't you do the analytical session on everybody? Because the very non-analytical person is going to probably be stressed with it. They're not going to enjoy it. Especially if they've been hypnotized before, they're going to leave your office and say, next time I'm going to see that hypnotist that relaxes me. Because that's what they enjoy. They want the la la land, the relaxation, to go into these nice floating off places, okay? So it's good to test somebody, find out how their mind works, and tailor the session to them specifically. Now, for those of you that are doing this as a business, I would suggest that when you do the suggestibility test, you do 2 or 3 of them. Don't do just one. I did one here just for the sake of saving time, but you would do 2 or 3 so you can get a better gauge, okay? And kind of like average out the 3 to be more accurate, because maybe their fingers didn't go together because they have arthritis, or maybe they went together really fast because they have arthritis. But if you do one of the other tests, you're going to probably get a better gauge. So in our hypnotherapy manual, which you can get free online, just go to the link below this video, we actually have about 5 different suggestibility tests that you can do so you can get an average. So that's what I have for you. I hope you learned a little bit about yourself, your spouse, and your friends so you can better understand why they act the way they act. Now, this is just one of the many things that you'll learn about your clients and especially yourself that can be found in our hypnosis course. So if you want to really help others and even help yourself, you need this course. The information you'll find in it will change your life. I guarantee you'll never look at things the same way again. You'll gain so much knowledge. So decide now to sign up. It's so inexpensive comparing to the information you'll be gaining. So be wise and go buy it now. It will change your life forever. You can hit that button right there or get the link in the description below. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.